What's up, everybody? This is episode 49 of Hoops Talk with Dave's joint. Shout outs to everybody that's been supporting us thus far. For those who haven't seen this series, go check it out on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. But without further ado, we have a very famous guest in the building. She's a college coach at Delaware State University, but she's known around New York City basketball circles for her wit, her charm, and her knowledge of the game. At one point, she was also a writer for Bounce magazine, and was also known as Ball Girl because of her talents on the court. We have Miss Samera Marsh in the building.
Hey.
Sam, thanks for coming on, to share your testimonial.
You're welcome. Thank you for all the compliments too. That time in my life at Dime Magazine and Bounce Magazine was incredible. I credit it for launching the coaching career and the basketball involvement in my career that I have now. I was around a lot of great people, and I also was around a lot of smart, intelligent people, and a lot of good talent. I've just seen a lot of basketball in my life, a whole lot of it. I have.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon the noise in the background.
All good, man. All good. So my first question for you, Sam, is what's Samera Marsh's coaching philosophy?
My coaching philosophy is players first. For me, it's all about creating an opportunity and creating an environment for your team to have fun. Winning comes from when there's a mutual respect between the coaching staff and the players. And it comes from getting the best talent you can. You know what I mean? I could draw up, or head coaches could draw up any type of X's and O's they want, but if your talent is not going to execute, you're cooked. So it's all about making sure that the program, the environment, the atmosphere is all about having a good time. Your players' needs are met, and they really don't need to ask for anything. But you have to demand a lot too. It's not easy to do both. Some people, they like the good parts, but they don't like the hard work and work ethic parts, but both are important.
Right. So my first question, the next question is, when did basketball begin?
For me, I have 4 older brothers. So it started young. Seriously, it started young in the parks in the Bronx. I grew up in Parkchester. I would say about probably 7 is when I probably was really heavy into it. I was watching it before then, but really into it at around 7 and beyond. My first competitive team, though, wasn't until 11 years old. There weren't a lot of girls teams in the neighborhood I was in. So it was a lot of just playing with boys in the park. But once I got to St. Raymond Elementary, there was a girls team there. So that's how I started playing competitively.
So talk about what's the basketball culture like in the Bronx per se?
Oh man, it's live. There's before the pandemic, you could drive by in this weather, you could drive by a court and it's packed, like super packed. If you're good, if you're nice, you're always on in a game of pickup, 21, horse, something. If you're not that good, maybe you get 1 or 2 runs in a day. But and now it's blown up. See, now you can even go to gyms. If you got a membership to LA Fitness or Kips Bay or something like that, you can get yourself in the gym. But it's still live. It always has been. And God, it's reminiscent about stuff like that is awesome. The East Park in Parkchester, that's the one that's that's closer to St. Raymond's and closer to the movie theater. The old movie theater. It's a Marshall Park, I think, right? Yeah, it used to be a movie theater.
I missed that. I probably went in that movie theater maybe once in my life.
It was overrated. It was overrated, but it was cool while it was there.
But so what was St. Ray's Elementary like?
Oh man, to be honest with you, it was fire because they were starting a girls team while I was there, and this was in, gosh, I graduated 8th grade in 2000. I'm dating myself, so please don't mind me.
All good, don't worry about it.
Yeah, so then that means it was in the mid 90s. when they started the girls team there. And then at the same time, the boys team was always competitive. So those were like fun. Lunchtime pickup, gym class. We had to wear the little corny uniform. I think it was royal blue with orange letters. If anybody remembers that, that's what it was. We had to wear that gym uniform to school, but it was elite. A lot of people came through there, that I can remember that went on to play D1 and some even professionally. So that was like, or just competitive in college, period. So that was fun to be around that and to be a girl around that. That was fun.
Who were some of the people that were at St. Ray's Elementary at that time?
I was with Gavin Grant, who ended up playing at NC State. Dante Chisholm played at Manhattanville. Wesley Wicks played in college. Frank Ellegar played at Drexel, and then it was played professionally. So it was a lot of talent there. I'm forgetting some people too, but it was a lot of people there that could play.
So as a youth, what were some of your favorite tournaments to play in?
So the one I grew up in was Mr. Couch's tournament. His
Uptown Challenge.
Yeah, his Uptown Challenge. That's the one I grew up in the early 2000s. I can remember when he was sponsored by M1. So he's Nike now, but the very first year, the uniforms were done by M1, and it had the 5 train on the chest. It was actually one of the best logos. I think I still have a jersey. That's kind of crazy, but I think I still have that jersey. But it was elite. Dykeman didn't have girls yet. The group right underneath me ended up being able to play in the girls division in Dykeman. The age group right underneath me, because I remember girls that were on my team in 8th grade or 9th grade played in it, had told me they played in it. West 4th actually has been around for forever. Shout out to Janice Carter. Her league has been around and competitive for forever, and there's been some outstanding female players that have come through there.
So what AAU team did you play for when you were in high school?
I did not play travel ball, believe that or not. Oh, I was a certified nerd that happened to be nice. I happened to be nice, so I was very much local and a tournament player. I was one of those people who did not really know about AAU until I met one of my close friends, Shannon Bob. Until I met Shannon, and I played with another woman's Crystal Bellinger. So she ended up playing Division I ball too at Alabama and at URI. But those are girls that introduced me to Slam Jam and introduced me to travel ball, because before that I was only playing locally.
So you never got to play AAU, even in high school?
No, I did not. I was being recruited Division II level solely because of numbers I was able to put up and because of my academic. I'm a certified nerd that just happens to be decent in basketball.
So, I mean, Exodus and Liberty Bells were around at that time, correct?
Yes, they were. Yes.
And Gauchos, I believe.
Yes, absolutely, and Riverside as well.
And Douglas.
Yes.
And you never went to trial for none of them?
Nah. I was just on a different wave. I actually worked a lot in high school. I had a job at the Bronx too, so I worked. Yeah.
So what high school did you go to, and did you play in high school?
I did. I went to St. Raymond Academy. I played Martin. That's where I met Shannon Bobbitt and Crystal Bellinger, Nikki Avery, Ava Thomas, Mikkel Robinson. So I met all of the people, even Renee Taylor. Renee was playing at Scanlon with Mercedes, but that was like a huge rival. So that's where I met a lot of the big time ballers that I'm friends with now. We met being on the same team in high school.
So wait, wow, Nikki Avery went to St. Ray's first?
No, she went to Bertram first.
And then wound up at Kennedy.
And then wound up at St. Ray's and then at Kennedy, yes.
Oh, wow. So she went to 3 high schools.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to
do. Bertram, though, she was like, I can't believe that Ed Grzinski let her slip through the cracks.
I mean, that was a time, Dave, where you had to, even now, you got to do what you got to do to get your scholarship. When you have a goal in mind, you can't let any circumstance hold you back. for me, and this is funny because I even coach this way, I always have multiple avenues that I'm working on. So like me, I was getting scholarship offers for academics, and then I was being recruited Division II. So like I had multiple avenues. I was going to go to school regardless. And it's the same for anybody I know. We were going to go to school regardless.
Absolutely.
But for the players that were better than me, they were being recruited heavy D1. And kudos to them. They taught me a lot about being competitive and taught me a lot about basketball.
So they definitely had options.
Yes, exactly.
So how good was St. Raymond's Academy for girls at that time, as far as basketball is concerned?
Listen, if that group had stayed together, we had an opportunity to do some crazy things. I mean, like even some of the PSAL teams that we played at that time, we were like super competitive. Like just think of all the names I named. That was a legit squad. And I had a recent conversation with Shannon actually and talking about that and how like it was killers and Jewel Watson too. Can't be remiss. Jewel Watson ended up playing at Bowie State. She was on that team too. She was on a high school team too. And it was like fire. Like it was just a lot of quality talent. Everybody was good on that team. And for, whatever reason, we didn't stay together. But we had potential, man. That was like, if somebody wanted to write a story about that, that would be insane.
So you were part of the great class of 2004.
I am, yes.
So when did St. Peter's come into play?
Early in my senior year, I was being courted by them for an academic scholarship, a full one. And that's actually how I ended up attending there. They gave me money to come and be an academic student. I was like top of my class. I was second in my class at St. Raymond's, graduated academically. So
wow.
So I ended up saying it was either there, St. John's, or Syracuse. And it was more of a decision for academics, and I was just gonna make the basketball part work. But at St. Peter's felt right. And then there was some people from the Bronx that I knew that were already going there.
Right.
I was part of it too.
Crazy thing is, all three of those schools that you just mentioned are private schools.
Right.
So, like, I know tuition was a whole lot.
Well, remember, I had the academic scholarship.
Okay. So all three.
They covered everything. Yeah, they were going to cover everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
I took St. Peter's, so it was cool like that. That's what it was.
So how did you go about making the team?
All right. So initially, I started out as the manager, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, I was somebody that was in the gym all the time playing pickup. The seniors came to me and told me, like, you're always in here. Why don't you? And they really pushed, like, why don't you try out for the team? So the first time I tried out, I did not make it. But it was cool for me. But they gave me the invitation to become a manager, and it wasn't until junior year I ended up getting money from basketball too, like excess money from basketball too, to be a practice player. So it was like dope for me. It really was. I mean, I couldn't ask for more. I was there to be a student regardless. And like I told you, my mission and goal was always to make the basketball part work.
Mm-hmm. So
it paid off, because becoming the manager, then going to the practice player, it ended up, I got invited back to coach right after graduation. So that's what launched my career.
So talk about St. Peter's College as a school.
Oh, it's amazing. At that time period, Keetron Clark was there playing on the men's team. And then we had a group from Ohio playing on the women's team, a group of seniors that were like legit. Tiffany Smart ended up playing overseas. Kalisha Lewis was from Cleveland. She was very good. We also had Kristen Hood was from Ohio. We had this Ohio crew. We had this girl from Connecticut on the crew named John L. Burtz. And we also had a girl from Queens, Leilani LeGrand. And Leilani was a Gaucho's girl. So it was like there was a squad there too. The environment was crazy. We played double headers in the MAC. There were just a lot of people that came through St. Peter's, and it was cool. It was a lot of New Yorkers. It was a lot of people from northern New Jersey. So it was a vibe. It was cool. We made it lit.
that the Yanatelli Center, even though it doesn't really get packed like that for the St. Peter's games, it's still loud and it's still a good environment.
I mean, it did, and for people who are into basketball, they know it flows. You're always 1 year away from your next great recruiting class, or 1 year away from your championship team. And I think that's gonna come back. You know what I mean? There's great coaches there. Mark Mitchell and Shaheen Holloway are doing a damn good job in those spots. And so I think that it's always important for people to just stay locked in, because it'll flip at any second.
Absolutely. Shout outs to Shaheen Holloway. They won 17 games last year. I think they definitely could have made it to the championship game of the MAC tournament.
That's a fact. I'm always watching too. I watch St. Peter's games, one, because I'm an alum, and I watch any school that I coached at. So I support. Anywhere that I've been, I support them.
And then the good thing about St. Peter's is there's actually two options for fellow New Yorkers to get there. The 119 New Jersey Transit bus from Port Authority, or you could make that 10-minute walk up the block to Journal Square and take the path.
I took the PATH train a lot, man. Let me tell you something. a lot. That's like something I could never forget.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Before they made it so that you could use the Metro card on it, you used to have to pay cash or have this like New Jersey pass or whatever. I had all of that. Now I could talk for days about that.
Mm. And then if you wanted to see high school ball, St. Anthony's wasn't too far.
Not at all.
And they had either. And they had, I'm sure that they had a lot of games at St. Peter's back in those days.
They did. You know what game I remember? American Christian versus St. Anthony's. Tyreek Evans was on American Christian. Dominique Cheek and Mike Rosario were on St. Anthony's. That was a game I was actually at. That was when Gary DeCesar was still coaching at the Paul, believe it or not. And he was there at that game recruiting.
Mm. Needless to say, I'm sure St. Anthony's won that game. They
did. Tariq Evans, I could never forget this. He went into halftime and changed his Jordans. And he came back out. And I think because he was struggling shooting from the field in the beginning, but however it happened, they ended up, St. Anthony's ended up winning. Mike Glover might have been on that team too.
Possibly.
You got to fact check that. I'm not sure.
Might have been 2007.
I was at that game though. Yes, because I was a junior then. I was at that game. Mm-hmm. Shout out to him.
So before we get into the coaching part of Sam, let's talk about you as a writer. What influenced you to, write about the game?
So I've always been in love with basketball, and I'm actually you could consider me like a bit of a historian, and that stems from just being from the heart of the city and knowing that there was a lot of good basketball around. My parents, my mom is from Cortland Avenue, My father grew up in Dykeman, went to Power Memorial. So like I know just a lot, I'm connected to a lot of different things around the city. And then as a writer, it was a way to like express your love and passion for it. And then I have to credit Barbito Garcia because he's the one who put me on. He had a website. God, what was the name of his website back in the day? So I used to write and contribute or send in messages and stuff all the time. So we communicate through email. And so one day we bumped into each other at Pro City when it was still at Hunter.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, I couldn't miss the chance to introduce myself in person. So after we met in person, we connected over that. He knew about my interest in writing, and at the time, Bounce was trying to collect a team of writers that could cover the different street ball things because they were launching the blog and the magazine at the same time. So he asked me to come interview, and I can never forget this. I showed up to the interview with him and Sean Couch dressed up, and Bobito laughed at me. He told me, don't ever, he said, you got to be yourself in whatever you do. And he told me, don't ever come dressed like that to the office again.
I mean, you did it right because you was expecting, this is a meeting. So you got to come dressed up.
Exactly. But he's my guy for life. We are still friends. He's a huge mentor to me. And he's the one who kind of birthed the whole me using Ball Girl as a personality. So Ball Girl, initially my email address. That was an email address that I used when I had AOL. And so Bob is the one who said, use that as your pen name. So that's when I started using it there, and that's where birth is. So then it was just going to every park, covering games, and I mean every park. I went to Fun Sport, I went to Brownsville Rec, I went to Roy Wilkins Park in Queens, I went to Eichmann, I went to Goat Park, I went to Courtney Calendar Playground, 145th and Lenox, it's everywhere. So even Nike Swoosh. What's it? It's near Story Avenue. I can't remember the block it was on though.
Wasn't Watson, was it?
No, I went to Watson too. I know
Story Avenue.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's I can't think of the block. There's a school over. Stevenson is over there. It's a. I can't think of it, but it's over there. There was a school there where they were hosting the Nike Swoosh League, and that's a long time ago. That don't even exist no more.
Right, yeah, Nike Swoosh, man. It's crazy that tournament is gone, but also shout outs to Bounce Magazine. I wish they were still around. Maybe I would have had a chance to write for them. Who knows?
Nah, absolutely.
Still around.
What you're doing with Dave's joint, but I think you being able to launch your platform, it's like this is like the snowball effect of it.
Right.
All these things that are here. I mean, I was young, so I was just soaking in everything I could from the grown-ups around me that had a foot in the ground. You know what I mean? And so just in learning how to move and shake and learning how to build relationships, like authentic ones too, not fake stuff.
Right.
That's a huge part of why I'm such a good recruiter too, at the college coaching level. Like it's got to be genuine, and I think that builds you a rapport. You know, I've never left a place where somebody said like I can't stand her. You know what I mean? It's like I'm building a crew, building a network that's legit.
I mean, the thing is, it's like with editorial content now, like you kind of miss like wholesome sites like Dime and Bounce. Like Slam is still around, but
it is. You know, thank God for that too, because I was a lifelong. My brother's not lifelong Slam collectors.
Yeah,
like we have like OG covers. Like I have the cover. I still got the cover with LeBron and Sebastian. I still have the cover with Shamika Holscore. I still have the cover with Skip Tamalu. I still have the cover with. Let me think of another good cover. I got a bunch of them. I got like a storage, and I got some Bounce magazine stored too.
Yeah, you know what's funny? When Slam was expensive, when Slam got to be too expensive, Bounce was always there.
Remember they had the orange boxes. You could open it up and take a cover out. Yeah, they had it at all the events. That was the reason
I love Bounce so much. I just wish that they didn't have to end and that they didn't fold. But I mean, I understand. You know what I'm saying? Times change.
And listen, like, this is about being fluid. You know what I mean? Like, even with the game. I think it's very important for all of us to know, like, even now, you've moved your interviews from in-person to virtual. So
everybody has to adapt now because of this pandemic.
Exactly. And when one thing stops, just pick up another and keep it going.
Right.
And I think, like for now, like, everything came from something and then moved into something. So like Dave's joint, you established that because there was a Bounce and a Dime and because there was a Slam and then because there was a Sports Illustrated. And then even now moving forward now, because there was an Overtime, because there's an MBPA, like all of these things are coming from each other. And that's the beautiful thing because that means the sport will never die. And that means the passion in New York will never die.
Absolutely. So let's get into the coaching part. What made you decide to want to coach, and on the college level?
I think it's always been there. I actually found a journal entry that I wrote when I was in like 10th grade or 11th grade that said that I want to coach. That's scary, right? So I wrote this back as a 16, 17-year-old, and now 17 years later, I'm still doing it. Like I'm doing exactly what I said I wanted to do. And like I started in 2008 with that first job at St. Peter's, and I picked up that baton and never dropped it. This is where I'm supposed to be, you know, with this age group, around the people I'm around, coaching at Delaware State at an HBCU. Like this is tremendous. It is. And I mean, I've worked at 5 schools. I worked at, after St. Peter's, I worked at Monroe College.
Yeah.
After Monroe, I worked at Manhattan. After Manhattan, I worked at LIU, and then now I'm here. So this is my purpose.
Yeah. So talk about, you know, coaching at St. Peter's in the early years of your coaching career.
That was That was an interesting time. I had to figure out myself, my coaching style and who I was. My first job, gosh, I was only 1 or 2 years older than the seniors on the team. You know, you have to think about that when you start at 22, and I had a coaching title as well. So it was just figuring out my voice, figuring out my teaching style. I didn't do a lot of talking back then. Now you can't get me to shut up. That's how it goes. We evolve and grow. And I think it's important that people know when you get in early, there are going to be some difficult points, but you gotta stay the course. And I could be real about like being there, being young and a little naive too, with how coaching works or what's the expectations. But I'm happy I did that because without that, I wouldn't be where I am now.
So from St. Peter's. Oh, wow. So while you were at St. Peter's, you recruited a player that was number 10 in the country? Who was that?
From Ohio, Sakara House.
Oh, okay. Cool. So from there, I guess from St. Peter's, you went to Monroe?
Yes, I did. Yes.
How did the Monroe opportunity come about? And what's it like coaching JUCO as opposed to coaching Division I?
Seth Goodman and James Robinson are who I coached with when I was there. Seth was the head coach in year 1, and Jim Robinson was the head coach the 4 years after that. So they welcomed me with open arms. I was looking to grow. I think I had hit a ceiling at St. Peter's, and I needed to gain a personality. I needed to become, not find myself. That sounds corny, but I needed to know who I was going to be in this industry. I'll say it to you like that, who I was going to be in the game of basketball. And so I went over to coach at the 2-year level because that would give me a chance to do more on-court coaching, and it would give me a chance to have a little bit more freedom recruiting. I had more responsibility than I did at St. Peter's at Monroe. And so coaching at the 2-year level is second to none. You want a real education in college sports, work at the community college level or at the 2-year level. And we were good. I won a national championship my first year on staff. And then we repeated my second year. And that first year, we basically did it with all New York City girls. We had players from Bertram. We had a player from Banana Kelly. We had a player from Midwood, 2 players from Midwood. We had a player from Simone Victor she go to Bishop Loughlin. She went somewhere in Brooklyn. She went to school in Brooklyn. We had a girl. Yeah, we had girls from every borough: Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and Harlem. And we went out. We smoked everybody at the Nationals. They used to host it at it was in Kansas, not Hutchinson. What's the name of the school? Johnson County. That's the name of the school.
Okay.
So yeah, we went out there, the number 11 seed, and smacked everybody by double digits. The only single digit game was the championship game. We won by 4 points. 78-74. I could never forget that.
That's crazy. So so you won, like, which of the 2 national championship teams was your favorite?
I don't know if I have a favorite. You trying to back and put some pressure on me too, Dave, but that first crew is literally, both experiences are unforgettable, but that first crew is super special. And I think it's because the connection I had with players from the Bronx, like April Williams went on to play at Robert Morris, Kwamisha Lyles went on to play at Felician, Jessica Prevalon went on to play at Stony Brook, Victoria went on to play at, she planned to play at CUNY. It wasn't Hunter, Baruch. Victoria went to play on at Baruch. Mm-hmm. Everybody went on to the 4-year level. How could I forget? Shanae Williams went on to Syracuse.
Nice.
Samantha Gilman went on to Queens College. Like, we just had a squad. That was like a team not a lot of people could mess with.
Shout outs to April Williams. She's actually from my neighborhood.
That's dope.
Beekman Avenue.
Exactly. And you see what I mean? You say how it brings a smile to your face. It's that familiarity. That's like the part of it. You could do it local, and then the second year, we couldn't get a lot of the New York girls to stay home and play with us. So we went to Maryland. So then we got girls from Gaithersburg and Baltimore, and we got girls from, we still had a Brooklyn girl on the team. We had Samera Jones. She was from Brooklyn. I think Tamara played at Grand Street. But we still had some city girls, but we wanted more than that. We wanted some other girls to stay home, but they didn't, and everything worked out for them. But for us, we went and got some kids from Maryland, and it worked out. So we won it again. We won it 2 years in a row.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So from there, you guys from there you went to Manhattan College. How was it being on the Division I, back in the Division I level again?
I was ready to jump back in. The 5 years at Monroe were amazing, and I grew up. I matured as a coach. I grew up as a recruiter. I grew up in the strategic part, the X's and O's part. So that was for me. The opportunity opened up. Shout out to Manhattan and John Olenowski, who I worked for a season there. And that relaunched it. That got me back into Division I, and that was crazy too. There was a lot of local talent on that team too, and we were competitive in the league that year.
Was Amani Tatum one of your players?
Yes, she was. She's like one of the best kids I've ever coached. Super special.
Yeah, man, those years were great. Did the 6th borough always come out to the games?
They did. Between them and the band. The Midnight Madness, like that's the sick atmosphere. That was fun to be around. That was fun to work in.
I remember that one year I went to Manhattan's Midnight Madness. They brought out Jerry the King Lawler, and they had 2 Millie at the end performing. I'm like, yo, they really doing it up.
The season I was there, I think they had Lloyd Banks. That's who came. The season I was there. Yeah. Wow. It was crazy though, and Mass is that guy. So that was great to be there. Rashawn Stores was still on the team, so that was fun. He's another Bronx person, so that's what I mean. I like my energy is best when I'm around people from the Bronx that I bang with. That's what it is.
Exactly.
I'm always, and even now at Del State, we got somebody from the Bronx on the team. That's important all the time. There's always somebody else from the Bronx around me. Wherever.
Yeah, don't spoil it yet.
No,
but I'm not gonna lie. That like is a lot. There's always a lot of good stuff going on at that school up in Riverdale. I can always say that. I love going to their games.
That's true. That is. It was great. That was for real. Shout out to that. That was a good year.
And the press conferences with Masiello, man, were always fun.
John was fun too. I don't want to be remiss because on the women's side, John was there for 7 years. Michelle Pacheco went there. She played for him at the end of her career after Mindy Hill left. So that was like cool. It was cool. It was smooth.
Was the female AD at Manhattan, was she there when you were there?
No, it was Noah was the AD when I was there.
Shout outs to forgot the lady AD's name.
Oh, Miss Marianne Riley.
Miss Riley. Shout outs to Miss
Riley.
Riley.
Come on, you gotta know that, Dave. She's a legend there.
Nah, Marianne Riley, every time I see her, she's always nice, always smiling. Shout outs to Miss Marianne Riley. But let's go to your current spot, Delaware State. Talk about, how long have you been there, and what's the culture like on that campus?
I'm going into season 3, and Delaware loves their sports. So the state doesn't have a pro team. So a lot of people are split between Philly, Jersey, and even some Washington, D.C. fans. So college is big there. You can get your gym packed on any given night. And especially because in conference time, we play double headers. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's elite. It's a great atmosphere. We have an MC, we have a DJ. It's live there. And I mean, that's from women's basketball, men's basketball, football. It's fun. It's fun to be there around all the sports and all the coaches.
One of my coworkers at my job, Janelle Tinsley, shouts to Janelle. She's actually a graduate of Del State.
Hey.
And she has nothing but fond memories. She has nothing but fond memories of that campus.
Yeah, and it's funny, just like anywhere else, it's a lot of New Yorkers there. So I'm in my element. Our team manager is from Brooklyn, one of them. The other is from PG County. Shout out to them.
They just had a documentary out too.
Yes,
PG County, man.
So that's it's cool. Like most people when they hear me, if I go to the student center to Chick-fil-A, or if I go to the caf to eat, if someone hears me speak, they're like, "You from New York?" Yes, I am. Oh, me too. I'm from Brooklyn, or I'm from Queens. I'm from So yeah, that's how it is. It's not rare. I mean, it's not a rarity to find somebody else from New York there too.
But then again, you have those that there are those pretenders out there. There are.
I mean, listen, we are the greatest, so a lot of people are gonna want to be from where we at.
Right. But all right. So the MEAC, let's talk about the black colleges. A lot of there's a lot of good things happening. With the black colleges nowadays, particularly on the men's scene. You being coaching at a black college, what would you tell the kids about the school and why they should go there?
For a cultural experience, is second to none. I mean, to be around people who look like you, to be in an atmosphere where the stands are filled and like the alumni base, that's huge too. Like there's respect, there's pride in everything about it. And that's not to say any other school doesn't, but this is like legit, People came up through the ranks at the HBCU experience, and it's big. Like it's what you make of it. You know what I mean? So for me as a coach at an HBCU, it is special to me. So the players are gonna feel that, recruits are gonna feel that, alums are gonna feel that. They're gonna know that I'm not just in it for money, or I'm not just in it for talk. This is real deal. I really believe in this. And I think that for a recruit, I think you should know that it's like the energy that you're gonna feel when you're there. You're suited up, you're playing, the band is going, the dance team, the cheerleaders, the crowd is sick, man. It's like you can't beat it. You can't.
Now I don't want to get you in trouble with your St. Peter's peoples, but
it's all love.
Do you wish that you had gone to an HBCU every once in a while?
No, I'm not gonna say I wouldn't want to change anything because I'm where I am because of everything I've been through and every experience. Coaching here for me is this is great enough. You know what I mean? And then helping other young people. So all my young homies and recruits and stuff, hey, listen, you're gonna get the experience of a lifetime. And then I could live through that. And so I'm enjoying myself. It's like I wear the gear all the time. So it's like I went there too. You can't tell me anything.
Right. But yeah, it's like I'm sure like the men's teams, they have trouble scheduling games with the bigger schools. And how tough is it? Because it's like most of the season, you guys are probably gone from campus. Well, most of the first half of the season anyway, before conference play. Like, how tough is that? Like that grind. Okay,
so scheduling is not the difficulty. It's sometimes getting all the home games. On the women's side here, we have a unique philosophy of getting people to come play us at home. We use different incentives to get them to come play at home, come to us at home. And it's great that way because these are some teams that you might normally only see play on TV. They're coming to play us now at home, and we're getting the benefit of broadcasting the game through our own individual university channel. And I think that it's the same for our men. At the same time, guarantees are not all that bad. It's a way for people to make money for your university. And for those of us that coach in college, know you're either paying a guarantee or you're receiving one, and it keeps everything flowing. It keeps things going.
Oh, wow. You guys had a lot of home games, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, y'all had a lot of home games this year.
Yes, we did. Yes.
And y'all beat Delaware.
If you include the conference, it's like 17 in a row.
Wow.
17 home games, pardon me, if you include the conference schedule too.
Wow. That's crazy. The men's, they probably didn't get to have that many.
No, I don't believe they did, but they're always competitive. They had a lot of overtime games. And it was fun to watch. They had some super talent on the men's side. Shout out to Coach Eric Skeeters. For those that don't know, he was on staff with the team that knocked off Virginia, UMBC. Coach Skeeters was on that staff. So he is an excellent basketball person to be around. His assistant. Let's go.
All right, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that the relationship that we're building between both staffs and football and baseball and softball, the culture here, like our AD and our SWA do an excellent job of getting everybody to work together and be supportive of one another. So this is it's cool when you have that vibe because everything is for the spirit of the university. We have a dope university president too, Dr. Tony Allen. So he's excellent too. He comes to the games. He takes pictures with the players. So like it's awesome to be around. It is. You can't beat that. You can't recreate that, like just the respect and the love that's there with that.
Mm-hmm. So what was it like coaching at LIU? While you were there, we forgot to talk about LIU.
Oh, you jumped over that. Nah, that's all good. Anytime I'm coaching at a college in the New York area is special because that's home. Mm-hmm. So LIU was a fire 2 years. It was it was 2 seasons of growing again. Because every stop I make, I'm growing. Shout out to Stephanie Del Priori, who was the coach there. Renee Hayes is now the coach. So there's a new head coach there from when I was on staff there.
Right.
It's just, it's sick though. It's, I told you, if I'm in New York, I'm going to recruit New York. I'm going to represent New York. And I'm going to make sure that everybody knows. I'm inviting everybody to the game too. You know, I always try to get you to come to the game.
Matter of fact,
everybody.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I remember that there was that one time. I don't know if I ever came to a women's game unless you guys came to play us. But I do remember, and this was recently, where we both met at a LIU game.
Yes, at St. Francis, exactly. Yeah.
No, it was at the I'm talking about a men's game.
Oh, at the Barclays. Yes. So and I told you I support. I'm always there. I actually this past year I went to the LIU men versus St. Peter's
game. That's it.
That's the one that we saw each other. Yes.
And after that game, I had to shoot straight over to Newark for the St. Paul game.
Yes. I think that same day, St. Francis men played Delaware State men because I went to that game. So yes. I went to both. Yes.
December 22nd.
Yes. No, I represent, Dave. I told you. It's always going to be New York. No matter. Look, I got a Dipset shirt on right now. No matter where I am, like, this is exactly this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm a rep New York. And, but going back to my 2 years at LIU, like, that was elite. It was a great AD there. Great SWA there. I think the athletic staff has turned over since I've left. But that was like, ooh, it was like Steph was who I was working with. DK, Derek Kellogg was on the men's side. And then before him, Jack Perry. So it was just a lot of good basketball. I've always been around. That's the blessing in my life is I've been around good basketball my entire life. Whether it's my teammates playing it, coaching it, recruiting, writing about it, it's been exceptional. I have no complaints, zero.
So, like, with let's talk about Hoops in the Sun a little bit. At one point, you were working with Hoops in the Sun. What was it like being on that beach during those hot summer days?
It's a lot of frustration, a lot of sunburn. But it's always love. Shout out to Joe and Randy, Commissioner Kent, B-Stacks, Bobby C, Q allows the whole staff there, Gerald, Kyle, like that's family. Yeah. So where we say like, I might move schools, you know, for whatever reason, and change jobs, but Hoops and the Sun is family. And they've been family for over a decade. So that's special to me. That's more community work that I like to do. I told you New York is never too far from me, and it's always in my heart. And no matter, I'll be there. I'll be there to assist with helping young people in the New York area get right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's good basketball. I mean, Randy's Rising Suns Youth League to the men's league, like it's second to none.
Absolutely.
We putting pressure on a lot of people with that youth league.
Yeah, that youth league is something special. But yeah, man, I mean, you doing like, I'm excited for how these HBCUs are faring. Like, you guys are really on the come up at this point, because Howard, they just got that the big man McCord Maker's cousin, and I was just talking to Kerwin O'Call last night. Shout outs to him. We were just talking about how a lot of these PWIs like UCLA, like they have the big budgets. And I know for you guys it's tough because, you know, the athletic budgets at these HBCUs are not like, you know, they're not really up there. But, you know, Howard's budget was $163,000. And UCLA's was over $1 million. And crazy thing is they were still able to get the big time player with the smaller budget.
I think it's kudos to number one, to Howard's recruiting. Kudos to Maker's decision. But I think it's time to break up a lot of myths about HBCUs. It's always, and it's truly, if you build it, they will come.
That's true. You know, Kevin Costner said that.
Yeah. So I think it's legitimate to say that superstar arrival will attract everything that a university needs to be the TV to get a TV contract, to be on Big Monday, to be on to the news, to have people around, for people to spend more money. Like that creates that. You know what I mean? Everyone's looking for something or a reason. Why should I spend my dollars? Why should I donate my dollars? This is the reason why. You want to compete with everyone else. We gotta invest and we gotta build. And HBCUs understand that. You know what I mean? It's not remiss. Presidents and ADs understand that, and they're making it happen. And I think that we should just give a good look. I think everybody should just give a good look to the HBCU, to that avenue. Because it's no different. Let's just call it Division I. The only difference is the principles in which the university was founded on. It's special for that reason, but from an athletic standpoint, it's Division I. It's a full scholarship. You know what I mean? So let's look at it like that.
Indeed. So this is a question that I love to ask all my guests before I lead up to the final question. So if you could go back in a time machine to 2000, what would you tell Samera Marsh at 14?
What would I tell myself at 14? I would say, be confident from jump. It took me a while to get to where I am now in terms of my ability to finesse. I needed to believe in myself from earlier on. And I told you before, I wouldn't change anything. However, I think I could have acquired certain things quicker if I had just struck at the right moment. So I needed to know when I feel something, boom, I gotta go for it. As soon as I feel it, I gotta go for it. And so that's what I would tell my younger self. Like, no, trust yourself and know what you believe in is the right thing.
Right. Final question. What's next in the future for Samera Marsh and the DSU Hornets?
An incredible season. If we can get out of this pandemic, we're going to shake some things up in the conference, in the MEAC League. We're aiming for the NCAA. That's what we want. And for me personally, it's always going to be with New York. I might if we win the championship, I might open up my blouse and have a New York shirt. I might have this Dipset shirt underneath. That's how real it is. That's how real it is. And I want to continue to grow with people like you, with my fellow New Yorkers. If people have projects that they need assistance on, listen, I'm there. Like I told you, I have a mind. I have a historical index in my head. I've seen a lot of basketball. I know a lot of people. So I can definitely help people out, either launching their products or getting things done around New York, because I want us to stay strong. I want New York basketball to be able to recover from this pandemic, and I want it to be even better than ever.
Indeed. Sam, thank you for coming on to share your story, and I wish you and DSU nothing but the best moving forward.
I appreciate you, Dave. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I can't wait to see the finished product.
Indeed. Everybody, this is episode 49 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. For those from the Bronx, DSU, St. Peter's College, or shall I say St. Peter's University now, check this out on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. Everybody stay safe. Everybody stay blessed. Peace.
Peace, y'all.